Hello, property nomads. Hope you're well. Mortgages are going through the roof as per numerous papers and outlets reporting. And yet at the same time, the same people are then saying that, surprise, surprise, rent is taking up the biggest share of pay at the moment. And these are things that you and I both know. These are things that we could have predicted a few years ago when everything was starting to kick off. And what we mean by that is that we had the economic foresight and the understanding of monetary systems and those supply demand, and we knew this was happening. And now it's being reported as though it is such a massive, massive surprise, which again shouldn't really be surprising, but it always catches you off guard. Got a couple of articles here from Zero Hedge. Just going to share my screen. Let's have a look. So yeah, the first one, this was a couple of days ago. Average 2-year mortgage rate close to 6%. Average interest rate on 2-year fixed mortgage, likely to breach 6% in the coming days. Since this article came out and recording this video for you today, it has just topped over 6%. And again, it's not really surprising. The pace in which the market is moving is relatively fast. In a couple of days' time, Bank of England sitting down, again, looking at policy. Chances are they're likely going to hike the base rate from 4.5 upwards, probably to 4.75, maybe to 5%, we don't know. And if you're on our newsletter, if you're on our socials, or you watch these videos on YouTube, same principle. We've been saying this for a little while. Bank of England are going to continue to increase that rate until they effectively break the economy. What won't happen is it won't happen straight away. It normally takes 12 to 18 months for the effects of the changes to be felt in the economy. And it's no different here with mortgages. So yes, they've increased. They will more than likely increase again. It's just not surprising. Do like their bit at the bottom, rates have risen consistently, which is true, and at times sharply in the past few weeks. Excuse me. Yeah, that's true as well. Commentators say there could be more increases to come. Much depends on official inflation data being published next Wednesday. We've gone through plenty of times why the inflation data in this country is quite poor, or what is contributing to inflation. You know, without risk of beating the same drum all the time, you guys already know the reasons. Previous figures on wages and rising prices mean markets anticipate that inflation and interest rates will stay higher for longer in the UK than previously expected, which has been reflected in the funding cost of mortgages. Well, yeah, absolutely. The economic data is not great. The wage data is not great. Rising prices, again, for various reasons, all down to government intervention, not allowing the markets to do what they need to do, restricting resources, etc., etc. This is all led to this, and of course the big amount of currency printed in the last 3.5-4 years as a result of pandemics and telling people to stay at home. You're not allowed to do anything, and this is all now starting to bear fruit, I think is the expression. So that's article number one. So yeah, the average 2-year mortgage rate, again, it's actually just gone above 6%. And the thing is, when you put it into perspective, when you look at the, or you look at everything in general, the average rate since the bank's inception in 1694, the average rate's about 5%. So having it at 6%, actually, it's not the end of the world, but it's the rate in which those increases are happening in the last 24 years on the back of various policies, that's probably the alarming thing. And then, not in a contradictory way, but another article, again from my favourite BBC, hashtag sarcasm. Rent takes up the biggest share of pay for 10 years. So on average, the UK tenant now spends more than 28% of their pay before tax on rent. And this almost isn't surprising because what's happened in the market recently with, again, government, surprise, making all these changes, renters reform bill, tightening regulations within the property market to such an extent where, again, I think there was another article saying that landlord profits down to about 4% now on average nowadays. And that, I mean, that's not good. That is not a good margin to try and run a business on. It really isn't. It's like rail companies and the operating companies for the rail networks. Off on a tangent, their operating margin is 1 to 2%. I mean, that is really not a great way to run a business at all. And as landlords, we have to appreciate that we're running a business. That's what we're doing. Now, yes, we're providing housing as a result. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we are running a business, running that on a margin of 4%. As per that report, it is no bueno. You're in a no bueno zone there. But going back to government, because of all their regulations and things that they're trying to put in place, what's happening now is that more and more landlords are leaving the market, which means that the people that are buying those properties are not necessarily landlords. So therefore, the amount of stock on the rental market is actually decreasing. And economics 101, if the supply side goes down, but the demand is still there, what happens to the price? Yeah, absolutely. You've got that price goes up. So hence why we're seeing stories like this where rent prices have gone up. Now, the thing is, a couple of things I would say going through this article. Average rents for new lets have also risen, jumping 10%. We've got a little graph down here we'll go through in a minute. Take this gentleman, Chris Ward, his girlfriend. They say they're struggling to find a rental in London despite a big budget, 1750. Well, this is where sort of my contrarianism comes in. So I don't know what you guys do. I don't know if you need to be in London. Plenty of places up north. You can get a nice big fat apartment up there for that price, probably buy a nice big house for that price, or rent a big house for that price. I don't, there's a lot of issues in the southeast, and I get that it's a good part of the country, but we've got such a nice country here, and there's so many different places to see and go to. Just relocate. It's easier said than done, granted, but I've done it before. So that's my devil's advocate coming in. Rent's been growing faster than wages in the UK for nearly 2 years, yet not surprised because, again, government policies and what they're doing to the housing market is crippling the market. And the amount of supply on the market is dramatically decreasing, hence prices are going up. So I'm not surprised to hear any of this at all. And again, not sure what the BBC's intention here is, because if they are trying to do this from an approach of, we're so surprised that this is happening, oh my God, and greedy landlords and all of this sort of stuff, you can just tell the tone in which the BBC are writing this. You can tell the tone there. They are so anti-landlord. I think it's unbelievable. But the thing is, people will be very quick to blame landlords here. Yeah, well, rents have gone up by X%. Blame the landlords, greedy landlords, capitalist pigs, right-wing scum. How dare you try and operate a business like that? It's terrible. And people don't realise the bigger picture. It's actually the government trying to protect the renters. They're shooting themselves in the foot. The very people they think they're trying to protect are the very people that they're harming. And as we said on the channel many a time, that's either very cunning. In that case, you sort of hold your hand up and go, yeah, fair enough. Or they're just thick. And I'd be inclined to go with the latter on this. Look at this nice funky graph. Yes, so the UK average, about 10.8%, I think it is, highest rent increase from April 22 to April 23 is Edinburgh at 13.7%, London just beneath it, 13.5. Glasgow up there at 12.3 as well. Glasgow's a nice place. The Southampton, Cardiff, Birmingham, Bristol, etc., etc. Now, what this shows to me is funny that places like Newcastle, Sunderland, even Manchester aren't on this list. I find that fascinating, especially Newcastle, having recently been up there. So again, we've got to look at this from a point of view where these things are being reported with an element of surprise. This really shouldn't be surprising. And again, let's just recap basic economics 101, just so we're all singing from the same hymn sheet. The reason rents have gone up, a multitude of reasons. One of the main reasons is the amount of reform that the government's trying to do on the property rental sector means that a lot of landlords are now selling up. Other landlords are not necessarily buying those properties that are being sold up. So as a result of that, the amount of stock on the rental market is actually decreasing. The supply is decreasing. Yet at the same time, demand is either remaining the same or it's a lot higher. That, coupled with grave economic policies in the last few years, which is why we've seen a lot of currency being printed, which is why we've seen inflation, the restricting of Russian goods, services, oil, things that we need in order to actually produce food and live on and to produce other things. We've seen a restriction of that. So that's blame government both times for that. And then with the amount of currency that's printed by the Bank of England in the last few years, again, that's slowly started to work its way through the system. And when you've got many more currency units chasing the same amount or fewer goods and services, that means your inflation is going to go through the roof as well. Now, you can blame the Bank of England for printing that in the first place, but you bet you that the government were telling them to do it. So yes, I'll keep it YouTube friendly. I'll always try my best, but that is why we are seeing all this proverbial hit the fan at the moment. We're slowly starting to see that, and it's not going to get any better anytime soon. It's really not. Now, I said a couple of years ago that we're going to be in for a bit of a correction, a bit of a disaster. I still maintain that because, again, these effects take a little while to work through the system, and we're starting to see that now. No bueno. As always, watching this on YouTube, there's a little bell button, I think, below, helps you to get notifications as and when new videos pop up. So please do that. Also like and subscribe to the channel too. Tell as many people as you can about Property Nomads. We've got a podcast that you can go and listen to. We've got a newsletter we send out monthly. Please go and check out that on our website. All the links, we've got a link tree again in the description below this video. We're trying to get as much information out there as possible because it's important that we start shedding light on why these things are happening and not just take the mainstream media bias of always bashing landlords. Ultimately, this falls at the feet of government. The more people that are aware of this, the more information that we can spread, proper information, not misinformation, the better that is for everyone. So like the channel, press that bell button, and see you in the next video.